Hi, everybody. I'm Bill with Nutricost. I'm here with Ryan Westbrook of Westbrook Family Medicine. He is the owner and founder. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Welcome.
Just tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of like what brought you to this point in your life and where you're at.
I'm a family nurse practitioner, and I started about 10 years ago. I realized that as I was practicing, it seemed like a lot of people came into my clinic were fatigued or struggling to maintain their optimal health. They felt like they were struggling. So I started looking more into hormone management with patients and really started evolving my practice into management with hormones. And I found that as my hormone patients grew, I could see an improvement in their health and measurements that I could actually see patients coming in feeling better 90 days, 6 months, a year later, and it doing very well. So I kind of crafted and my practice that way. I left corporate America to move on and open my own clinic to just be able to focus on that and be able to not have to cram patients in my work schedule, that I could actually have time with them and work with them and educate them on hormone management and health.
And you've been at your own practice now for about 2.5 years,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Now, aside from medicine, what are some things that maybe you're passionate about?
Oh, I love a lot of things. My kids and I, we go out, we go fishing, we go rock hounding, we do a lot of fun stuff. We hike and camp and just a lot of things I like to do. But I'm passionate about Utah. I love the outdoor weather and stuff. And recently came back from Wyoming, just up there hiking and stuff, and actually gold panning up there just recently. So
That's awesome. Are your kids little or are they older?
they're older. My oldest is 24. My youngest is 20. I have a 22-year-old boy as well. So
Man, that's fun. My kids are still in like the little stage, but my oldest is the one that I can take to do like real adventures. So that's really cool. You get to go have adventures with your kids. What's your favorite rock that you guys have like rock counted? Your best find, do you think?
probably my favorite is like a blueberry azurite. It's really kind of neat. It's a blue round rock. It looks like a blueberry, and that's fun. And we're actually planning another trip down to go look for some more in the next little while. So,
Awesome. Was that not around here then?
it's down in southeast Utah. We were up in Montana about a month ago, and we were rock hounding for sapphires, and so found a bunch of sapphires up there in Montana too. So it was fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's fun. What would be something that maybe surprise people if they found out about you?
Well, we like to magnet fish. I guess that's kind of
Okay.
weird. I mean, my kids and I, we go magnet fishing in the rivers, which is fun. But
Explain that a little bit because I have a vague idea of what that is, but it sounds like a cartoon. So for those who don't know, what's magnet fishing?
we take a big magnet and we tie it to a rope and we throw it in the river and we drag for metal, and then we take it home and we actually, my boy and I, we have a forge and we work in our forges with metal
wow.
work and stuff too. So
That's awesome.
so the metal we find hopefully is good metal. We
Right,
take
right.
it home and use it. So
What's the coolest thing that you found magnet fishing?
in Utah, not a lot. I mean, we found a couple springs and some spoons and things like that, but not a lot. I wish I could find something really cool I could see on YouTube, but nothing yet. So
Yeah, you got to go to like a big city on the East Coast, maybe.
we keep hoping.
You know, you said that you've been doing this for, you said about 10 years, right? What initially kind of sparked your interest in medicine?
Well, when I was younger, I was always active, played a lot of sports. And so, of course, my brothers and I have 4 brothers, we'd wind up in the hospital periodically. And I really found medicine was very interesting. And I always thought that that was something I really would like to do. I never pictured myself as a nurse practitioner until about 12 years ago. I'd been a nurse for about 15 years, well, almost 15 years. And I had a physician I was working with. He told me I should go back to school. And I said, I don't think I could do that. But he said, yeah, go do it. So I went back and decided I was looking at med school and then looking at nurse practitioner school. And I thought nurse practitioner school would not be so long for me, and I could still do the same things I would love to do, was working with patients. And so that's kind of how I kind of got into medicine, was just, I guess, being exposed to it when we were younger.
Right. Now, for those who don't know, what is the difference between a nurse and a nurse practitioner?
A nurse, as a registered nurse, we're able to work on the floor, work under a physician, able to carry out duties and orders and things like that for what the provider writes. So whether it's a physician, a PA, or a nurse practitioner. As a nurse practitioner, I'm able to practice independently in the state of Utah to see patients, assess them, treat them for their illnesses, and able to write orders and admit them to home care, whatever I need to do, treat them for diabetes or any disease possible, write out orders and prescribe meds as needed, or treat them with supplements or however, make recommendations for that as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, your last place that you worked was a doctor's office, correct? And you left them to start your own. How does a nurse practitioner, family medicine, function differently than like a doctor's office, or does it?
Well, I think we do. I think as a nurse practitioners, we want to look at the whole person. For me, you're not a disease, you're a person, and I want to treat the disease that's causing the problems. I think so many times you walk in, and I felt that as myself being a patient at some time, you feel like you walk into the doctor's office, you're the disease, they treat the disease and you leave, right? My goal is to look at you and see what we got to do to fix that, and to take you as a person, look at your social, your political, your spiritual, your financial ability to be able to carry out what health we can do for you and modify your care accordingly.
Yeah. And it sounds like, just kind of based on our conversation, because I don't know you from before 8 minutes ago, but you really kind of focus more on prevention and maintaining that health. What are your thoughts kind of on that?
Yeah, I'd rather see someone 2 times a year because they're healthy than 8 or 9 times a year because they're sick.
Right.
I tell my patients all the time, I don't like sick patients. I want you guys to be healthy. So I really try and go above and beyond. I spend a lot of time with my patients to try and educate them. I tell them all the time, I don't want to prescribe you a pill or prescribe you a supplement or prescribe you something just and give it to you. And I want to tell you why we're doing what we're doing. And I found that one thing that's allowed me to do is by doing a lot of the hormone management and the supplemental management, because I can tell them, look, this supplement does this. This is how we want to make sure you get and promote health.
Yeah. And with the hormone management, is that more like, is that diet based? Is that hormone replacement? Like what does that look like?
I do a lot of hormone replacement.
Okay.
Probably 80%, 90% of my patients are hormone replacement, whether it's male or female.
Gotcha.
Testosterone, estrogen, progestin, and those things for women, male, thyroid, etc. And then we do try and adjust their diets. We do a lot of hormone management through adjusting their diets, through supplemental management as well.
Yeah. So with that being said, we're a supplement company, so obviously we like that. And I'm a nutrition coach, and so I always try to solve things through nutrition and exercise if I can, right? What is kind of maybe one of the more common deficiencies that like is one of the more regular things that you prescribe to people as far as supplements go?
So I actually really like the Bs. I like B1, B6, B9, B12. I like ALA. A lot of my patients, I advise them, we look at getting testing for what's called MTHFR, which is a methylated B deficiency. I use a lot of glutathione for thyroid disease, psyllium, those kinds of things. That's probably my biggest go-to is those vitamins. I do love glutathione. I like astragalus for Epstein-Barr. There's a lot of things out there I really like. So
it's good to see that you're excited about it too. That's the best. How do you feel about like a B complex, right? That is kind of like the catch-all, right?
I like to see them broke down more.
Right.
I want to know that my patients are taking a quality B vitamin.
Right.
If I'm going to say, I have some patients who come in with a complex B, but I'm like, I like to see them taking the B6, the B9, the B12 individually and make sure if they do have a B deficiency, because I've seen patients that come in and they're over B and they're having neuropathic disorders. And I'm like, your B is really super high. We need to get you off of this. You didn't need it in the first place. And they think if they supplement B vitamins, their energy will return. So
are you doing that more like with a blood panel to start with?
Yeah, we'll do some blood panels. We'll do a full, complete blood panel to see like where everything is. I want to see where your Ds are, where your testosterone, if you're male, where your thyroid is, front and back thyroid. I like to measure those. I like to see where irons and your cholesterols are. Because if we can do that, we can get you in a better place to feeling better too.
That's and that's really the goal, right? Is to figure out where they're maybe missing and fill in those gaps, and maybe if they're over eliminating something. I guess that's another question: is what do you think people are getting too much of that they think is health food? Like that's one thing. People always think that almonds are great for them, but then they eat a pound of almonds and they feel awful. So
I think a lot of people are always looking for the right supplement. They always come in on the Bs. That's what they're always telling me. Or I get other patients that are they're lost. They're like, I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to do that. Or they're doing a paleo diet, but they do a partial. They do a paleo diet Monday through Friday, but then Saturday, Sunday, they go out and eat with the family and have ding dongs and ho-hos or whatever, and it's like, if you're going to stick to a paleo, stay with the paleo diet, because I think one of the things is people find it hard to commit to certain things. They'll do it. I think you get a lot of information we see coming in on TikTok, or I have patients all the time bring that up, and I can appreciate that, but I tell them that's really not a good place to get your information. So there's a lot of things out there that I think people are taking the challenges of, and it doesn't work so well. Right.
No, we actually are starting a video series based on a study done on TikTok that 98% of nutrition information is inaccurate on TikTok. And,
yes.
And that's from the University of the City of Dublin, and MyFitnessPal did this study.
Oh, nice.
It's not great. So Definitely not the best place. Well, that's where I did all my research. So no, not on TikTok. But. Back to just you founding your own family medicine. What was the biggest challenge in breaking off and starting your own practice?
Trying to find a place to open. I mean, I think, and then hoping that you were going to have patients come see you. That was the next thing. I was really concerned about that, but trying to find a place to just open a practice and get the reputation out there that you want. I mean, so many times you could open up a clinic and probably be like, prescribe anything willy-nilly and get patients. But I wanted a quality practice that had my name associated with it, said, this is a good place to go. And so really getting your name out there and finding good patients, and whether they're good or bad, I mean, just a good patient that you want, that you can help them, that wants to be helped, is really probably one of your bigger challenges. And insurances. I mean, working with insurance are a big struggle. I mean, that's probably the biggest challenge in your day is working with insurances.
Yeah, I think that's for both users and doctors.
Yes.
Trying to sort through all that.
Yes.
So if you were to like go back in time and talk to yourself before you started it, what advice would you give yourself before you started this new endeavor?
Probably just be honest. You know, that's the biggest thing. Is I found that being honest with patients and probably just knowing that there are situations out there that sometimes there's people that you just can't help. Right. And that's the hardest part.
Oh. So. When you say that there's patients that you just can't help, is it because we're not there yet and we don't know how to help it?
I think it's a little of both. I tell my patients it's like a football team. Like I can give you all the tools and all the players, and if I give you a poor quarterback, I'll never perform. But also you've got to be the coach to be able to coach that team, right? And if you're not willing to commit to the coaching of that team, then we're not going to do very well. So it can be a mixed bag.
Yeah. I have a friend who has a shoulder problem right now, and he's got PT that he was assigned. And I was like, well, how's the shoulder? And he's like, I've never done the PT. I was like, it's probably not going to get better then. So it's a little bit of that then, it sounds like. Okay. Yeah.
Active participation.
Well, and you know, you only get one body, right? And so we got to find those little things that we can do to take care of them. So actually, let's talk just a little bit about avoiding issues. Like what are maybe some things that people could do to avoid needing to come in the first place? I know that's not great for your bottom line, but what are some things that they could do to kind of avoid that?
With my research and in my practice, I'm a big promoter of stretching. I love stretching. I tell my patients who are 5 years old all the way up to 95 years old, the biggest thing you need to do is stretch. Oh. Because in research, I mean, we've seen the University of Pittsburgh published articles about people get hurt is lack of flexibility. I mean, when you fall and you're not very flexible, you feel like you're just falling straight. So I tell my patients all the time, stretch, stretch, stretch. Even if they have to go to a YouTube video to find a good stretch, you know, we try and give them some information on them too, so that they can do those. And that's probably my biggest education, is to stay flexible.
We have so many resources available to us now to find things like that. I mean, there's 1,000 yoga videos out there and programs.
Yes.
And every gym has a yoga division. And with that whole concept of not stretching enough, another problem that as I was looking into podiatry and just health in general, is that people talk about bad posture but really the problem, it seems like, is that people are in the same position for too long. You know, for thousands of years, we were hunters and farmers and gatherers, right? And now we hunt from a desk. And so, I mean, is that part of that stretching and activity level?
We see a lot of people that get what's called Sherman's kyphosis. It's from leaning over their cell phones or leaning over their desktops or their computers or things like that. And so one of the biggest things, like I always tell them, you know, those are self-inflicted, right?
Right.
But there's things you can do to avoid staying in that position all the time, and by stretching, keeping that back flexible and strong. Yeah. I've seen so many times we think we have strong backs, but really they're multiple muscles put together, and one gets, you know, out of whack or not tight, and it's very hard to get it back if you're not keeping flexible and stuff. So
right. I saw one piece of advice that was like when you watch TV, you should sit on the ground because it's not soft and comfortable like this delightful couch. And A, you're going to watch less TV, but B, you're not going to be in the same position for too long. Things like that, do you think are helpful? Or
yeah, I sit on the ground when I watch TV, or lay on the ground or something. We're playing games or whatever. Yeah. I like it. I like being on the ground. I like walking out in the grass with my feet too, bare feet, because I feel I get connected with the earth. You know, it's like the magnet resets. So I like that as well. I think the closer you can be more to a firm, definitely.
And that's so good to hear from both you and other guests, because it used to feel like there was like this fight between like natural health and like Western medicine, as they call it on social media, right? But to see that it's like, no, we kind of need both, right? Is kind of the idea, it sounds like.
I think they work together. I think you can have too much of one and too much of the other, and then you're kind of going in different directions where if you incorporate them, you can get a better outcome, I think.
No. Well, where can people find you online or social media?
We have a internet out there. It's Westbrook Family Medicine. We also have an Instagram and a Facebook page under Westbrook Family Medicine as well.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Ryan.